Welcome, friends, to the Mindfulness Advantage show. I'm your host, George E. Green, founder and creator of the Mindfulness Advantage immersive training and mentoring systems. Your Mindfulness Advantage is always rooted in the philosophy and practice of power with rather than power over. I partner with, train, and mentor people from all walks of life, from blue-collar to business executive, in an elegantly simple yet profoundly powerful set of tools and daily practices that can and will create for you measurable and sustainable life upgrades, empowering you to achieve personal mastery and greater productivity through your daily practice of mindfulness. For more inspiration, information, and to schedule your own complimentary consultation, log on to themindfulnessadvantage.com or contact me here on the Plus via your private message. Thank you, friends, for staying with us for the next hour. A quick programming note: the Mindfulness Advantage TV show will be on hiatus next week, as I will be the featured guest on the Jess plus Scott plus You show next Tuesday at 7:15 Pacific Time, 10:15 Eastern Time. Please join your hosts, Jessica Duell and Scott Scowcroft, and I for the Jess plus Scott plus You show. Joining us in our guest panel tonight are our friends Kate Bowyer and David Corrado, both of whom have made a career of learning how to stretch into greater and greater expressions of their visions and time management, while just like you and I and most of us, occasionally experiencing human moments where time seems to overrun and wash us over and under. We'll be bringing Kate and David in after our first segment, Your Moments in Mindfulness. Time appears for us all to be a precious commodity, and yet science clearly states that time is a human construct rather than an absolute. To further feed the perception of our paradox in time, many of us have had spontaneous and seemingly miraculous moments where our sense and relationship with time was slowed or stopped, and so then greatly expanded. These are our timeless moments in the presence of great natural beauty and grandeur, in drinking in the delicious enrichment of a sublime selection of music, or of the touch and comfort of our beloved friend and lover. There are indeed countless moments, countless invitations to pour the entirety of ourselves and our mindful awareness into singular moments in time, where, for all effects and purposes, we cause our perception of and our relationship with time to stand still. Yet we all share one common phenomenon of our seemingly accelerated modern lives: our overwhelm and adversarial relationships with time. How is it that some people seem to surf the waves of their own flow and current of time, while others seem to end up underwater? In his book, No Ordinary Moments, A Peaceful Warrior's Guide to Daily Life, the author Dan Millman writes, "Windows of opportunity open and then close. By staying in the present, handling what's in front of us, and riding the wave of opportunity when it comes, we follow the natural order of things." Friends, therein lies our inner and outer paradox. How we define time, and specifically how we narrate our relationship with our time, defines whether we are the surfers or just trying to keep our heads above water. Your own mindfulness advantage is defined as power with rather than power over. It's time for you to step off your old battlefield and step into your new playground, friends. It's time for you to make peace and friends with time. Let's play. Join me in welcoming our two featured guests, Bowyer, and David Corrado. Thank you both for being here with us today, you two. Dive in.
There you go. Hello. The mute button, the darn mute button got me. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yay, and thank you, Davie. I'm unable to unmute you, so go up to your menu at the top and look for a little microphone.
Hey, George.
Hey, all right, David. Thanks
for having me. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. So we're going to leave the mics open today, and I'll do my best to pin whoever's talking. I both brought you on, one, because we all share the same narrative of the further along our trajectory we go in terms of embodying our vision, the more we have to reset and recommit to our ability to manage time and projects. So I'm going to start with you, Kate. In our pre-show conversation, as I understand it, you have 5 different jobs. One, first, you're a mother to 4 children. Second, you're a wife to, thank God, just one husband. But then you have your day job. And what else are you doing? Those are 3. What are your extra practices?
I also write both fiction and nonfiction, and I also do video. I'm currently doing a season right now called The Kate Show, so I'm busy doing that, and then I'm also preparing to do a short film.
Okay. So a lot of, and we talked about this, a lot of people would say you have too many irons in the fire. I say I just need a bigger fire, but we're going to circle back around to a surprising reality about what you prefer. But next, Dave, with complete transparency, Dave and I, Davie, have been dear friends for a long time, forever. And we were both students of a Native American spirit interpreter, she would call herself. And David is also has completed his first 12-week run with the Mindfulness Advantage. So, David, in your bio, it talks about you being a full-time father for 13, single father for 13 years plus. Share with our audience what it is you do during your day job.
Absolutely. I am a case manager, so I work at Seattle Children's Hospital, and I work with parents of patients, the kids that are on our unit, and so at-risk children that are having a rough time in life and need some really special help, and parents that are super stressed and need some guidance and some help and some coaching and some information about how to get through a really tough time in their life.
Mm-hmm. And check me if I'm wrong, but you've been doing that for 19. Well, you've been with the Children's Hospital of Seattle for 19 years, yes?
17, I figured out. Yep.
Okay, 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to think the level of stress and overwhelm, or potential for stress and overwhelm, is pretty high in a job like that,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with at-risk children, yes?
Yes, we were just having a conversation about that today at work.
Mm-hmm.
One of my fellow case managers was having a really tough case, and you get those the situations that really tug at your heartstrings and are just painful to carry, and you have to find a way to walk through that.
Not only walk through it, but walk out at the end of the day and leave that in the rear view mirror, mm-hmm. Which is a pretty shiny trick for most people. Yep. We'll circle back around to that here in a minute. Kate, let's jump in. I really would like for you to share. I was very surprised to hear this, because in my mind, as I characterized, I really like having a lot of projects. In fact, rather than thinking I have too many irons in the fire. I just think I need a bigger fire. And then when you and I drilled down into how you serve your time and your life and your projects, I was very surprised to hear that you really prefer not having a lot of things. You really prefer focusing on just one thing, yes?
That's right. It is because I have this very bad habit of blowing things up in my head. And so when I have more than one thing going on, that's when time becomes my enemy. When I just think, oh my gosh, I have this to do, and it's going to take so long, and I have that to do, and what about 3 months from now, and what's happening tomorrow, and time just becomes this focus for me that's really hard to deal with sometimes. And that's why I do prefer one thing at a time, but that's not how life is. And so I do, go along and try my best to have the multiple projects going on, and but I don't do it by myself. There's no way I could.
Right, exactly. So, and one of the things that I discovered about Kate as we got to know each other a few days ago in the pre-show content meeting was, and perhaps you'd like to share this story, that every once in a while, perhaps maybe as much as once a day, you will quite simply make a different choice, which is to fire the inner narrative that says, it's getting huge, it's overwhelming, you can't do this. And so how does the rest of that conversation play out?
Silence, because I ignore. I can't. One, I don't have time to fight with myself, and two, I'm not sure who would win. I don't have a really good confidence of who's going to win that fight. So I simply ignore, and I just dive into the deep end without thinking.
And just so for the benefit of our watchers, what does it mean when you dive into the deep end? My sense is, rather than chasing your own tail with the details and reticence and resistance to just doing what's in front of you, you just throw down and do it. Is that correct?
Exactly. And I have my chalkboard up with little sayings and things, inspirations, and one of it is just the simple thing of do it. And I just take a deep breath and I just start doing it without overthinking anything.
So, friends, this is really a delightful example of a spontaneous and innate choice to do something other than the pattern that rules us. And so, actually, what Kate is describing is a conscious, aware choice, awareness of a pattern that's largely unconscious, that operates underneath the surface of our conscious awareness, but she's engaged with it consciously enough that she quite simply fires the voice or puts it in timeout. So that is a reframe, that's an adjustment of our trajectory that requires, first and foremost, our ability to simply be mindful in the moment and make new choices. So one, bravo to you, Kate. And the reality here is that whatever your experience is of that inner argument, it, from my experience, doesn't really show much or at all in your public presence and in your presence here on the Plus. So well done, Ninja Kitty.
Oh, thank you.
Now, Dave, we're going to jump to you in just a second, but we want to do station ID here. You're watching the Mindfulness Advantage TV show. I'm your host, George E. Green, and we have Kate Bowyer and David Corrado here, two experts on living their own lives. And people with similar experiences as we have in learning how to manage and then master our own time. So it's really important, friends, that we remind you and encourage you to be a part of the conversation. So get off the bench, get in the game, and get your comments on here while we're talking, and especially after in the replay. We appreciate your engagement and your participation. So Dave, if you can just sort of share your own trajectory personally of coming from whatever space you came from when we started, and how you began to notice and be more and more curious and make new discoveries and new decisions along the way in terms of how you manage your time.
From when we started, George?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, trying to think back, and you and I have talked about this before, it's hard to remember the space I was in at that time. It feels like when a leap's accomplished, it's hard to remember what was right before that. You know, that it becomes almost a foggy memory, a distant memory. I tend to color my memories with the achievement that I'm at now.
Mm-hmm. Let me jump in there real quick.
Yeah.
Friends, this is hugely important. This is not a disassociation or a disconnection. It's just quite simply that the consciousness Dave operated in, which was relative to mine and everyone else's, is like, oh my God, I'm a little overwhelmed, or if I'm not, I can see it from where I'm standing. He can't remember because it's not in his consciousness anymore to be overwhelmed, and he is busy mapping and remapping his trajectory to manage more and more faster and more efficiently and become a better father, a better person, and just a better employee all the way around.
Yes, but I do remember conversations that we had. I remember moments. I remember that feeling of overwhelm I'd feel. You'd give me assignments, and I thought, where am I going to squeeze that in, George? I've got no time left. You know, I'm already down to 5-6 hours of sleep at night. How am I going to get up earlier, stay up later, get lunches made, get my son to school, get him in clothes because he's growing like a weed right now, and so I do remember that about that time. Just that there was no way, and the anxiety or the sometimes the anger, the frustration that would come up when you give me a new assignment to do would just boil up right about here. Just be like, oh, I can't do anymore. No, don't shove anything else in there. And then you really helped me to breathe. And find the space, find the space in the day, the moments to breathe, to relax, to notice what was going on inside me, and to just be aware of that feeling and allow myself to be aware of that feeling, allow myself to feel it and see where I was at, and notice that was actually resistance I was feeling. And recognize that and see what that resistance was. And then when I had that consciousness of it, that awareness of it, then I was able to rise above it, move through it, handle it, move with it, dance with it, and get more accomplished, and become more centered, more peaceful, more relaxed, which allowed me to accomplish more being in that space. It was the overwhelm and the scatteredness and the brain going, I can't do anymore, that made me less effective. And as I was able to tackle that, or tame that, or just actually recognize it and see it and enjoy it like a pack of puppies, bouncing around, wrestle with each other. Look at that. There's some resistance. That's kind of fun.
So that
I was able to move forward.
That's really important, friends, because as I talked in the beginning about moving and transiting from just managing time, which often, as I said, you may not be overwhelmed, but you can see it from where you're standing. And moving into mastery has everything to do with the inner narratives that we have. And if you are in a space of I don't know or I don't have any time, it's pretty easy to do the math and figure out how that's going to work for you. The reality in the context of David's story is that he has, beyond all the mountain of responsibilities that he has, much like Kate has, he has another outcome that is interwoven into all those responsibilities. And anytime that I invite someone to stretch, it's directly connected to what their vision is. And so initially when we think, I don't have time to do that, and I'm like, well, then you don't have time to fill in the blank of your vision. So Dave, you are a lifestyle and fitness mentor and coach through the Beachbody system, yes?
That's correct. Yep. Yes, I've got folks that have seen my transformation that I've made. I'm down. I'm probably 180, 185 now. I've been bulking up some lately, so I was down to 175, but I decided to add some muscle to that 175, and I was up over 200, probably about 210, 215. I think 205 was the last time I weighed myself. I was stretching into some 36-inch pants, but refused to go to 38-inch pants. Just since the belt tighter, I was not allowing myself to go there. So I got some of that off by myself, and then I stepped into some Beachbody system and drinking some Shakeology and doing some workouts, and that's what really helped me transform my body. And over time, people have seen that. They've watched me change, and so they've asked for some help. They said, I want what you got. Can you help me? So I've got a bunch of folks I'm helping with that, and I've got some other folks that have said, wow, you're building a business. I want to join you in building that business too. So.
So that's, friends, that's above and beyond his slacker job at the Children's Hospital, and that's sarcasm at worst. And being a single father and all the responsibilities go with that. And so let's, if you feel comfortable, share with me, our audience, just very simply and elegantly what your outcome was when we started and is today for your own business. Where do you want to be in 9 months?
In 9 months, I want this to be a 6-figure business. I want to help the amount of people that it takes to be a 6-figure business. I want to touch that many lives and help that many people achieve their own dreams.
So the reality here,
friends,
friends,
George, I am becoming a 6-figure business.
He's Dave Corrado throwing down with the conscious language, friends. The reality is, this is the reason Dave shared with you all that when I would give him alignment assignments, we don't use the H word here, he would start simmering, and that was because what we were doing was coming up against a conversation and a narrative he had that I don't have time. And the reality is, if you don't have time to invest 10 or 20 or 30 minutes a day to feeding your dream, then it's just a dream. It's not a vision that's already fulfilled in your mind and your heart. And that's the stretch daily. So thanks for being unvarnished and honest, Davie. Now, Kate, share with our friends, if you would, what your vision is for your life, short and long term, and specifically what's your vision concerning your creative life. Looks like we've lost Kate somehow. Kate, if you can see us, keep your thumb up. If you can't, looks like she's frozen, so we're gonna hopefully wait for her to log back in, log out and log back in. While we're doing that, I'm gonna send Kate a message in chat. David, if you would share a little bit from your story of learning how to operate from within your vision in certainty. And again, just a refresher, what I'm talking about, friends, is when we really commit to our vision and we're operating inside it, not just independent or away from our vision, we can operate with certainty. And when we operate with certainty and we do something every day to feed our vision, the question of how do I get this done, usually avails itself to you. So, Dave, if you want to dive in with that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure, George. That I remember that assignment when you said let's operate from certainty. Walk in certainty. Don't worry about the how. And we really worked on. You coached me on my language, and we would have these great conversations, and you would offer ways to reframe the way I was thinking and speaking about where I was, and I just found that invaluable. I would have been in such certainty about my business and the way it's growing and the people I'm touching that I moved forward joyfully. And shortly after we started that lesson, I had several coaches, just new coaches. That's the folks that want to build their business with me. Just show up and say, I want to do this with you. I want to join you. And it from the outside looking in, it looks like a miracle. And actually, from the inside looking out, it looks like a miracle. But it's that certainty that allows the world to reorganize around me in the way that I'm seeing it, and allows it to create itself in the image that I'm holding of it. And and that was the experience I've had. People showing up, coaches that I already have on my business who have just been sort of floating along, have gotten excited and said, I want to, really reconnected with me, wanting to get my support and join me in helping other people and being excited about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's huge, friends. When we shift our relationship, one with time, and go from I don't have time or I can't manage to get that done into the possibility and the yes of not only having time, but recognizing that time is a construct. It's a human construct. We have all, as I said in the opening, had timeless moments where it seemed like time stood still and we were able to drink that moment in. That happens spontaneously, and we can sharpen that skill. We can deepen our awareness. We can make a choice to be in and pour ourselves mindfully into any moment and start to master our time. As Davie said earlier, what he started discovering when he was curious and noticing was that there was a lot of chaos around what he was getting done, or there were inner arguments he was other than aware of. And when we align ourselves bit by bit, piece by piece, with our outcome, and specifically we're in our outcome already fulfilled, which means you're seeing it, you're feeling it. It's not a when or an if, it's I am in my outcome. Because every day that we feed our vision, every day that we make even one small step towards, is a day that we're in victory and a day that we win. That's operating from certainty. There was a great link to a video that I love. It's a guy, I think, Ian McCaskill, who is a trick professional mountain bike rider. And he went back to his home, the Isle of Skye in Ireland, and rode these impossible trails. They're called knife-edge ridges, where literally the trail he was on was less than a foot wide and had maybe 6 or 8 inches of rubble and talus, and then less than 45-degree slope on either side. And this guy made it look easy. And when I watched it, I just thought, that's what it looks like to play and operate from certainty. Let's go back into visioning, being in your vision. When you started, Dave, when did you start your training, your own physical training?
My own physical training? That would have been, well, 2010 I started off on my own with some dieting. I tried to work out. I couldn't seem to get myself to quit hitting snooze on the alarm clock. Bam, bam, every morning, and I'd get up and I'd feel guilty, and I didn't do it again. I failed again. Every day was starting out as a failure, right? Because I didn't get up that half hour before to get on the exercise bike and ride it. And one day I just looked at that exercise bike and I said, I'm going to get on it and I'm going to start. And I'm late for work already, so I only have a minute or two, but I'm going to jump on anyway. So I jumped on, and I rode it for 2 minutes, and I felt better. It's like, wow, that felt better. Next day, 5 minutes. And I just kept going. It's like, I'm going to ride that bike every day. And I let go of it has to be a half an hour. It has to be the amount of time that I think it would take to get myself stronger and healthier and able to, lift up my child and do those kinds of things.
Right.
And
So
I got to the point where I was doing a half hour, 45 minutes. And then in 2011, I discovered the Beachbody workouts and haven't stopped since.
So when you started, did you have any imagination, any vision of where you are today, and one, how you feel, two, what you look like, and three, what you now know with certainty is possible? Did you have any inkling of that?
Not at this level, no. I had no idea that I would be able to get my body to where it's at now.
Yeah. So this is huge, because now David has gone through multiple cycles and spirals up in his personal and physical evolution, but also the evolution and recommitment cycle to his vision. And now 3 months into his vision to crush a six-figure business, he finds himself stretching again against his perceived limits. So we're going to drop into the comments for 1 second here and then see if we can get Kate back in the conversation. All right, Pamela Zeman, hello, sister, says, okay, David, I'm getting on my rebounder right now for the rest of this show. And Pamela, you and David are nearly neighbors. David is in Seattle, Washington. Let's see, Geoffrey Dodd, a really great question. I got to put my specs on for that, or maybe not. There they are. Okay. Geoffrey Dodd says the mindfulness advantage, in a sense, is the imagined, pictured, aligned, felt reality more real than the fearful reality we thought was the reality? Great question, Geoffrey. The reality is, and thanks to one of my favorite authors, Dr. Rick Hanson, author of Buddha's Brain and now Hardwiring for Happiness, is that our brains have a negative bias, Geoffrey, and so it's much easier for us to be imprinted by our negative narratives and our negative experiences, and the brain recreates what we give consent to as real. So the alchemy, the transit that happens when we move into our vision fulfilled, as we're building it, is that we are immersing ourselves in a positive outcome, not only in idea and intellect, but with kinesthetic feeling and emotion, and we're drilling into the texture and the dimension of our victory, period. So until we wake up to our new choice, our unconscious and fear-based reality can seem very powerful. But the same way that you learned how to eat without stabbing yourself in the face with your fork is the way you learn to build not only a new pattern of belief and vision, but commensurate to that, a new pattern of what neuroscience calls a new neural substrate, which is designed and built exclusively to not only help you map, but manifest your highest outcome. So, Kate, let's see if you're back in and
Yes.
able to join us. Yay!
Hey.
So, I was earlier when I was talking to you, I was like, Kate is just so fixed on our program that she's not even blinking. I was like, wow, that is some serious focus and mindful attention. And then when I asked you to talk, you couldn't do it because you were just a frozen image. So welcome back. My question was back then, and again now, is what represents your shiniest stretch right now with all this overhead, and plus with this interesting ability to spontaneously fire or put in timeout the voice that makes you freak out and try to hide under a rock from your vision? So what is your shiniest, most stretchiest part of your creative life and vision right now?
Wow. That's hard for me to decide on. The
Right.
most shiniest?
Yeah. Oh well, what's currently on your desk? Talk about the film that you're either beginning or you're in the midst of producing.
The short film is something that I'm going to put into a film festival, and it's sort of a spin-off. Well, actually, I thought of it first, and then I thought of the episodes of The Kate Show. So they're kind of like kissing cousins, and it's a short film done entirely on the phone because it's supposed to be just mobile devices, and I'm really excited because it is going to be done silent, like I'm doing the Kate Show, but it's still going to be different than that. And I do have it storyboarded out, and it is something that has to be in by the end of January. So I do have that time crunch, and I'm really excited about it though because I love being able to take one thing and switch it around and make it my own and make it into something else, mold it into something else.
Yay. Yay. So, friends, these are common stories that David and Kate are sharing with us. They're my stories. You know, people imagine and expect me to, roll out of bed and put my boots and cape on. And there are some days where I am a superhero. But most days I am that, and I am absolutely human, which means that I can make myself dizzy with my to-do list. And I have to make a mindful choice to be friends, to make friends, and maintain my friendship and my present to what's active, and especially any narratives around time. We're getting ready to jump into our final segment. Welcome to New Playground. Dave, I would love for you just to jump on in here and give our friends a final call to inspiration and action in the way of managing time and stretching beyond their limits.
Absolutely. I'm thinking back to operating from certainty when we were talking about that just a little bit ago, and I was remembering where that took me. And each day I was a six-figure beach body coach. When I hopped in the car, when I drove to work, when I was at work, the way I met with people, that I was just in that certainty that that's who I am now. What the experience that opened up for me was I was showing up for people, not with my agenda, not trying to set them up, hook them up, recruit them, anything along those lines, sell them anything. I was showing up just open and curious about who they are, what they were about, where they were in that moment, and who I was in that moment. And I have the most powerful interactions with my fellow human beings in that space. I sat down and had a conversation with a friend at lunch, and was in that space with him and brought tears to his eyes just in a simple conversation. I've had 5-hour conversations on the phone that seemed like minutes, just excited about the world and the earth and what's going on. And in that, other people show up and ask for my help and ask to join me in my journey. But it's not me out seeking others through that. But it's really that genuine connection, showing up for people, being present in that moment, not multitasking, not doing a dozen other things, but just being there with people that is really its own reward.
Indeed. And friends, do the math. David cannot have a 5-hour conversation and make a world of difference for the person he's talking to while being in service and coming from and operating and creating from his vision fulfilled. He cannot do that when he's having an argument with time. So David started about talking about operating from certainty. What wasn't spoken to was how much he had mastered his old narratives of time that allowed him to show up in a completely way, one relaxed and authentic, and clear about how he decides to serve and support and mentor other people. That's priceless. Kate, my curiosity and my question for you is to provide us with a call to inspiration and action around the idea, and here's the question: what happens to your creative process when you fire the voice and tell the voice, you're not the boss of me, and you quite simply dive in and do it? What happens?
To put it bluntly,
shit happens.
Yeah, shit gets done.
Yeah.
It's actually a very empowering and exciting thing. I actually get a high off of it, because once I start, it's almost like, you know, I'm at the top of this hill and I just let myself go and I just roll with it. And I just, the more I let myself go, the faster I roll down the hill, the more things get done, and the more I think, damn, I did that. And I can keep doing that. You know, I have my own kind of personal motto where I just keep thinking, just keep swimming. You know, it's like I'm like a shark, and I just, you know, I want to be living and doing my dreams, and the only way to do it is just to keep moving. Right. So I just keep swimming.
Yay. All right, so again, what we have here, folks, is two dear friends, both in their own unique ways have really full plates, to the extent that stuff is tumping off the plate all the time, or was in the past. One, we have a point of view of someone who has adopted a mindfulness practice and adopted a new commitment to stretch forward every day. Then we have someone like Kate, who organically and spontaneously is making these new higher choices. So one, know that you have within it, in yourself right now, to make these new choices. All you have to do is, one, pay attention and make the choice, and then pay attention to what the choice generates for you. That's the massive payoff that Kate is just talking about. So I'm just so grateful for both of you for saying yes and joining me on our new playground, and I look forward to y'all coming back and sharing some of your victories and your shiny creations with us very soon. We're going to go just a minute or two over. Thank you for staying with us, because now it is time for Welcome to Your New Playground. One of my favorite authors and experts on mindfulness, neurophysiology, and neuroplasticity, Dr. Rick Hanson, writes in his book, Buddha's Brain, The Practical Neuroscience of Happiness, Love, and Wisdom, that much of what you see out there is actually manufactured in here by your brain, painted in like computer-generated graphics in a movie. Only a small fraction of the inputs to your occipital lobe comes directly from our external world. The rest comes from internal memory stores and perceptual processing modules, whatever the heck that is. Your brain simulates the world. Each of us lives in a virtual reality that's close enough to the real thing that we don't bump into the furniture. One of my favorite quotes from Dr. Rick. What that means, in the most simple of terms, is whatever we make up about ourselves, about time, and about our world, in effect, becomes the lens through which we filter, form, and experience our reality. And so, too, when we consciously change and upgrade our narratives and unconscious agreements of what is real and what is possible, we change ourselves and our world for the better. Because you have an ongoing and innate talent for learning, because we all share a universal human quality of desiring to learn and achieve mastery in our own lives, you yourself can indeed achieve and become your own master of time. The most direct, generative, and efficient method and roadmap to your personal evolution and mastery is quite simply your learning, training, and daily practice of mindfulness. This is your own mindfulness advantage. Power with rather than power over. Welcome to your new playground, friends. Welcome to your next and greatest adventure. I am your host, George E. Green, and this is your Mindfulness Advantage TV show. Again, remember, we're on hiatus next week. I'll be on the Jess plus Scott plus you show next Tuesday, an hour later. And I invite you to join us next Tuesday, and we will see you next time, friends. Thanks for being with us.